actually, because they were able to set the migration issue as the main topic for the upcoming elections, even though there are many other topics which could be talked, one could talk about actually about, like, for example, the economic perspectives, the ecological transformation, aspects of bureaucracy, but the AfD just managed to set migration as a main issue, and now is even arguing that the protests are somehow steered by the government. So they are really setting up some kinds of fake news, actually, regarding the protests.
How do you think the party will do in the upcoming elections?
Well, actually, I'm very afraid that the current polls show more or less the right tendency. So I expect that they will be around 22, if not even 25%, because some people are still hesitating to say the truth and to say that they are going to elect the AfD. But well, still, I'm still hoping that they will not. But I'm afraid it might be, well, they might be very high numbers of elector people who are going to vote the AfD.
Well, this election was meant to take place in September this year, but has been brought forward because of the collapse of Chancellor Olaf Scholz's three-way coalition in November. Is there any chance the Social Democrat Party can retain power somehow?
Well, right now, if one believes the polls, it's really rather unlikely that they will be in power again. It might be that they will be in a kind of grand coalition with the Christian Democratic Union in Germany. But right now they are around 15%. Though one must say, of course, well, polls are just, well, showing somehow a kind of current idea about how the people think, but they might decide differently, even though, especially since the chancellor candidate of the Christian Democratic Union is not very popular as a person. So in the end, we also know that popularity also counts. But one must say that Olaf Scholz is even not very popular because he's not really a talent of communication. But at the same time, well, his policies weren't that bad because the coalition of the three partners have really realized a lot of their coalition agreement, which has not been the case in the years before. So they were a kind of successful government, but they didn't come true, one can say, or it didn't come through, one must say.
So Friedrich Merz is tipped to be the next chancellor, but although you say he's not that popular, can you tell us a bit more about him?
Yeah, well, Friedrich Merz was somehow, one can say, the antagonist of Angela Merkel, who was the chancellor for 16 years. And he has been in the government, well, more or less, he was in the government at some point, but he was never having a ministry. But he was always a very prominent figure in fraction and the leader of the Christian Democratic Union before Angela Merkel came. But then he retained from policies and went into economy. And he's like, many people say that he's a very rich person. He's a very manager-like person. He's more with the economy, but not really with the people and policies. He always wanted to be the man in power, and he didn't have the chance to make it against Angela Merkel. And now it's his last chance in a way. He's 69, and so it's more, people see in a way, I think, that it's really a kind of personal issue for him to become the chancellor, one could say.
Can you quickly run us through how the elections work? Because as we understand it, no party will be able to win an outright majority. So how is the winner decided, and how will the coalition come to fruition?
Right now we have a kind of many parties who might enter the Bundestag. And this also influences the way how many parties at the end need to enter a coalition, because right now it's the system is in Germany that you have more a kind of 5% barrier to enter. The party receives 5%, then they can enter the Bundestag. And right now there are many parties who might enter or might not. It's the Liberal Party, the FDP, who was in government before. who is around 5%. It's the Left Party, who is around 5%. And there's also a new founded party, which is very left, but also kind of popular left, the BSW, who might enter the government. Not the government, the Bundestag. And it depends whether there are that many parties in the Bundestag at the end, whether the government is formed by two partners, for example, the Christian Democratic Union plus the Social Democrats, or if they need even it must be a coalition of three parties if they do not want to correlate with the AfD, which is right now the official program from all the democratic parties. And so it will be rather difficult after the elections to form a government, and one can expect it will take some time.
It is a very complex situation. How do Germans feel as you head towards the elections? Are they quite enthusiastic? Will they get out and vote?
The participation in elections is rather, well, it's okay, but it's not very high. It's about 65% of people going to vote. There might be a kind of mobilization right now because many people, especially in my environment, I must say, are really afraid of the AfD. And so this might mobilize some more people to go to elections and to vote for a Democratic Party. But enthusiastic? No, I wouldn't say enthusiastic. I think the political climate is so difficult right now, and it doesn't really, I would say it's a kind of campaign of fear, so to say, and not really a kind of campaigning for we want to change something, different to the elections 5 years, or I think 2019, where you had the climate topic very high, on a high level, and their parties really tried to show where we want to go into a better future by caring for environmental issues, for example, and ecological transformation. But now it's more like investing in weapons. It's because of the war in Russia against Ukraine. It's about economy and lowering down all ecological standards. And it's about migration, which is seen as a kind of overall topic which influences everything, even though this is not true, because one has to differentiate between the different kinds of migration in Germany.
And just lastly, we're interested to know what impact has the American Elon Musk had on the election campaign in Germany?
I would say he has a large influence because he was supporting the AfD, and he is still actively supporting the AfD also with his platform X. I think there's so much information by Elon Musk and also his followers on which are wrong information, fake news. And so he has a kind of large influence because many people use social media to get information. And also there are still people who say, well, Elon Musk is really a kind of, I don't know, unique person in a way. And if he says, well, Germany needs a change, then we might vote for change and vote even a party which at the end is really a kind of a very racist and national socialist party, the AfD. So we will see. I hope still that somehow people are not going to follow this direction.
It's really hard to predict right now, but Professor Alexandra Scheele, thank you so much for talking to us. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you. It was a pleasure for me too.